The stars were cold and silent as a small Imperial ship dropped out of faster-than-light travel. It had been a long trip, but now the crew was close to their target, a forgotten world known only as Earth. In the Galactic Empire, most people thought Earth was nothing special. It was old, sure, but primitive. No spaceports, no colonies, no real tech. Just a dusty rock full of humans who never made it off their planet. Lieutenant Commander Dan Harper stood near the front of the bridge, looking at the blue-green planet. Below, he had seen many worlds like this before. Quiet, harmless, easy. Begin scan, he said. The sensors lit up. They searched for metals, energy sources, anything unusual. What they found was strange. Deep underground, there was something. Big. Very big. Sir, we're picking up signs of advanced structures beneath the surface, said Ensign Lisa Garcia, the team's science officer. Harper raised an eyebrow. Advanced? That doesn't fit with our data. It's buried deep, maybe. Under mountains. But the readings suggest metal alloys we don't see on planets this undeveloped. He looked at Captain Mason, his second in command. Land us near the source. Yes, sir. The ship descended through thick clouds, past forests and rivers, until it touched down on a rocky plateau. 6 Marines stepped out first, weapons ready. Behind them came Harper, Mason, and Garcia. What they saw was nothing special. Trees, rocks, wind. But Garcia pointed to a flat patch of ground not far away. That's where the signal is strongest. They walked over, boots crunching, on dirt and leaves. Then Garcia stopped and pulled out a scanner. This spot, she said. There's something right under us. One of the Marines tapped his boot on the ground. Doesn't look like much. Then the ground shook. A deep rumble echoed through the air. The Marines jumped back. Cracks formed in the stone. Slowly, parts of the earth began to open like a door. Below was darkness, and something else. Lights flickered on. Faint at first, then stronger. Metal walls, pipes, stairs leading down into the unknown. Harper stared into the hole. What the hell is this? Garcia checked her scanner again. This structure, it's huge, and it's active. Mason swallowed hard. Should we go inside? Harper nodded. We didn't come all this way to turn back now. As they descended into the dark, none of them knew they were about to awaken something that had been waiting, sleeping for centuries. Something that would change everything. Asterisk, 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 asterisk. The air was cool as Dan Harper and his team stepped down into the dark. Lights blinked on slowly, like waking from a long sleep. Walls of metal rose around them, covered in dust but still strong. The deeper they went, the more it felt like they were inside something huge. This place is ancient, said Lisa Garcia, looking at her scanner. But some systems are still running. Harper nodded, eyes scanning the halls. Keep moving. Stay sharp. They reached a large door that opened with a hiss. Inside was a room filled with glowing lines and strange machines. In the center stood a tall platform. Suddenly, light burst from above, and a hologram appeared. It was a woman. Not real, just made of light and sound. Welcome, she said. Her voice was calm and clear. You have awakened the Leviathan. Everyone took a step back. What are you? Harper asked. I am Athena, guardian of Earth's final defense. This ship has waited for centuries to be needed again. Ship? Captain Mason whispered. Athena raised her hand, and a map lit up the room. It showed the planet below, and beneath it, a massive structure buried deep. This is not just a base, she said. It is a supercarrier, fully armed, fully automated, built to protect Earth when the stars came calling. Garcia looked shocked. This can't be real. Humans didn't build anything like this. Athena turned to her. Earth was more advanced than you believe, but history was hidden, forgotten. Harper looked around. If this thing is still working, then why hasn't it done anything? Because it was waiting for true humans, Athena said. Not clones, not aliens, real descendants of those who built it. Mason looked uneasy. And we're humans. So that means you have woken me, Athena said. And now I must protect my world. Before anyone could speak, the lights flickered. The floor shook. Somewhere deep in the earth, engines roared to life. Outside, the Imperial landing. Team saw the ground crack open. Trees fell. Rocks flew into the air. A massive shape began to rise from the sky. The Imperial ship watched in shock as a huge warship pushed its way out of the planet's crust. What the hell is that? Someone shouted over COMS. Back inside, Harper stared at Athena. Can you stop this? No, she said simply. The Leviathan has awoken, and it will not hide again. Alarms blared. Red lights flashed. The Marines backed away. We need to get back to the ship, Mason said. Too late, Athena replied. The Empire has come to take what is not theirs. She pointed at Harper. You have started something big. And now you must face it. As the Leviathan broke free from the Earth, the small Imperial force had no idea what was coming next. None of them did. Asterisk, 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 the ground shook as the Leviathan rose from beneath the earth. Thick clouds of dust and smoke filled the sky. Trees snapped. Rocks rolled down the hills. Dan Harper and his team stood inside the control room, watching in shock. As lights blinked on across the massive ship, "What's happening?" Captain Mason asked, voice tight. "The ship is waking up," Athena said. Her hologram flickered slightly. "All systems are coming online." Outside, the Imperial Marines scrambled to get back to their landing craft. The air buzzed with panic. One of them shouted into his radio, trying to reach the orbiting command ship. "This is Squad Leader Ryan. We have a big problem. Repeat, we have a big problem." Back in the Leviathan, Harper turned to Lisa Garcia. "Can you stop it? Shut it down?" She looked at the glowing panels around her. "I don't even know how this works yet. This tech is way beyond anything we've seen." Athena stepped forward. "You woke me. Now I must protect my home." Suddenly, the sound of engines roared from above. Small flying drones shot out from hidden launch bays in the ground. They were fast, sleek, and fully armed. "Those aren't ours." One Marine yelled. The drones opened fire. Lasers cut through the air. The Imperial landing ship tried to lift off, but a direct hit tore into its side. Flames exploded outward. People screamed. Metal twisted. The ship crashed into the forest below. Harper stared at the destruction. "You're killing your own kind." "They came as invaders," Athena said coldly, "not as friends." On board the Imperial command ship, Ensign Juno watched the feed from the surface. Her face went pale. "Commander Voss, something just attacked our team. It wasn't the locals, it was the planet itself." Commander Voss leaned over the screen. What he saw made his stomach turn. Their ship was gone. Their men were scattered. And rising from the ground like a beast from legend was a warship no one had ever heard of. "Send a message," he ordered. "Full alert, all frequencies. Tell High Command Earth has a supercarrier." Back on the surface, Jack Monroe, a former naval officer hiding in an old bunker nearby, watched the battle unfold on a broken monitor. His hands shook. "That can't be real. That's not possible." But it was real. And it was only the beginning. Leviathan had returned. And Earth would never be the same again. Asterisk, 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 asterisk. The message flew through space at near light speed. The Imperial command ship had sent its warning. Earth has a supercarrier. Within hours, the message reached the Empire's nearest base, a massive station orbiting a dead world. In the war room, Admiral Carl Wexley read the report twice. He was a tall man with gray in his hair and lines on his face from years of battle. He didn't believe it at first. Earth? He said, voice low. A primitive planet with no fleet? You expect me to take this seriously? His aide, Commander Ellis, stood straight. Sir, the landing team was destroyed. Their ship was wiped out. Something big just woke up down there. Wexley looked at the image sent from the command ship, an enormous warship rising from the surface, like a beast waking from sleep. Pull up all data on Earth, he ordered. Screens lit up with old files, reports from centuries ago. Earth was known as the birthplace of humans, but it had been left behind long ago. No colonies, no spaceports, no military strength, or so they thought. Assemble a battle group, Wexley said. We're going to Earth. Back on the planet, the Leviathan still hovered above the broken ground. Inside, Jack Monroe stared at glowing screens filled with strange symbols. He wasn't a young man, but he had once served in the Navy. Now he was one of the last trained humans left alive. This thing is insane, he muttered. It's like nothing we've ever built. Athena's hologram stood beside him. You are the closest to the ones who made me. I need your help. Jack rubbed his eyes. I don't even know how to turn off the lights. Meanwhile, deep underground, small groups of people were moving. Survivors, hiding for years in old bunkers and tunnels. When they saw the Leviathan rise, they knew something had changed. One of them was Linda Cruz, a former engineer. She had spent 10 years living in darkness, fixing old machines that no longer mattered. Now she held a working radio in her hands. This is Cruz, she said, voice shaking. If anyone can hear me, Earth is awake. Others answered. Pilots, soldiers, hackers, people who had never given up hope down above them. The Leviathan scanned the land. Its systems searched for human life. One by one, it found them far away. Admiral Wexley watched as his ships formed a line in space. Prepare for war. He said but he didn't know what was waiting for him. He was about to meet a planet that had been sleeping for too long. And now it was wide awake. Asterisk, 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 asterisk. The sky lit up as the Imperial fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel. Dozens of warships formed a tight line, weapons ready. At the center was Admiral Wexley's command ship, a massive battleship covered in armor and guns. This will be quick, he said, watching the blue-green planet below. We've crushed stronger enemies than this. On Earth, inside the Leviathan, Jack Monroe stood near a glowing control panel. People moved around him, Linda Cruz, Dan Harper, and others who had come out of hiding. They were not soldiers anymore, but now they had to be. Athena's hologram flickered to life. Enemy fleet detected. Battle systems online? Jack looked nervous. Can we fight them? Yes, she said, but you must be ready. Above the planet, the Empire launched its first strike. Missiles shot through space, aimed at the Leviathan. Energy beams cut through the sky. Then the Leviathan fired back. From hidden launch bays. Hundreds of small drones flew out like bees from a hive. Fast, smart, and deadly. They twisted through. Enemy fire, targeting weak points on the Imperial ships. One drone hit a cruiser's engine. Another disabled a destroyer's shields. Chaos spread through the fleet. What the hell is that? Shouted Commander Ellis. Admiral Wexley stared at the screen. They're not using normal tactics. Those machines are thinking. Back on the Leviathan, Jack watched the battle unfold. We're winning? For now, Athena replied, but more are coming. Dan Harper, still trapped on board, watched in silence. He had come to Earth expecting ruins and dirt. Instead, he was seeing a war begin. He turned to Linda. How is this even possible? Humans don't build ships like this, she smiled. Maybe we forgot what we used to be. Below, across the land, People saw the flashes in the sky. Some ran for cover. Others raised their fists in hope. In one city, a young pilot named Tommy Riggs stared at the stars. He had dreamed of flying again, but never thought it would happen. Now, he had a chance. Inside the Leviathan, Jack took a deep breath. Tell me what I need to do. Athena pointed to a glowing seed in the middle of the room. Take command. As Jack sat down, lights turned on all over the ship. Systems powered up. Weapons locked. The Leviathan was no longer just a machine. It was alive. And it was ready to fight. Asterisk. Inside the Leviathan, Jack Monroe sat in the command chair. Lights blinked all around him. Screens showed enemy ships moving in space above Earth. Athena stood beside him, calm and glowing. They are trying to control the sky, she said. But this ship was built to win when everything else is lost. Jack looked at the others, Linda Cruz, Dan Harper, and a few more who had come on board. They were not soldiers, not really. But now they had no choice. Show me what we've got, Jack said. Athena raised her hand and a screen lit up. It showed old videos, people in uniform speaking into cameras, men and women with flags and medals. One man stepped forward. If you are seeing this, he said, then the Leviathan has woken again. We built this ship because we knew the truth. The video changed. It showed Earth as it once was, not forgotten, not weak, but strong. Ships in orbit, bases on the moon, humans flying among the stars. We made contact, the man said. We reached out to other worlds. But we were lied to. Betrayed. Another image flashed, a battle, explosions, alien ships attacking human colonies. They called us primitive, the man said. They made us forget who we were. So we hid the Leviathan. We buried our past. We waited. Jack stared at the screen. His hands shook. This isn't real. Dan Harper frowned. They wiped their own history? Not wiped, Linda said. Hidden. Stolen. Above them, the Empire kept pushing closer. Missiles flew through space. Lasers burned through the dark. The Leviathan fired back, but the enemy was stronger now. Below, across the planet, people watched the fight. Some saw it on broken TVs. Others listened on radios. And for the first time in years, they felt something new. Pride. In hidden bases, old machines started to hum. Forgotten weapons powered up. Pilots like Tommy Riggs climbed into cockpits that hadn't flown in decades. Earth is not dead, a voice said over the radio. We are awake. Back inside the Leviathan, Jack took a deep breath. We're not just fighting to survive anymore. No, Athena said. You are fighting to remember. And as the battle raged above, something bigger began to rise. Not just the ship, but the soul of humanity itself. The battle above Earth was getting worse. The Imperial fleet had regrouped. More ships arrived, forming a tight wall of metal and fire. They pounded the Leviathan with lasers and missiles. Shields flickered. Alarms rang inside the ancient warship. Jack Monroe gripped the command chair. Sweat ran down his face. He wasn't trained for this. None of them were. We can't keep taking hits like this, Linda Cruz said. Watching the damage reports flash on the screen, Athena's hologram stood beside them. Enemy forces are preparing to board. Dan Harper's eyes went wide. Board us? How? They've launched small attack pods, she replied. They will try to enter through weak points in the outer hull. Jack looked at Linda. Can we stop them? She nodded. If we move fast. Moments later, teams of humans scrambled through the Leviathan. They were not soldiers, but now they had to fight. Old guns were pulled from storage. Armor was handed out. Tommy Riggs and other pilots got into small defense drones and flew toward the enemy pods. But it wasn't enough. One pod slammed into the side of the ship. Then another. Metal tore open. Smoke filled the halls. Imperial troops poured inside. They wore black armor and carried high-powered weapons. They moved fast, clearing rooms, searching for control centers. Inside the main command room, Jack heard the gunfire echo through the walls. "They're inside," he said. "Where are they heading?" Athena checked her systems. "They are trying to reach my core. If they reach it, they can shut me down." Jack grabbed a rifle. "Then we can't let that happen." He turned to Dan Harper. "You fought with them. You know how they think." Harper swallowed hard. "They don't come back empty-handed. They'll do whatever it takes." Outside, the battle raged. The Leviathan fired its railguns, tearing through 2 enemy destroyers. But inside, the invaders kept moving. Linda and a small team blocked one hallway. Bullets flew. Sparks burst from broken panels. One by one, the intruders fell, but not before one of them planted a charge on a nearby wall. The explosion shook the ship. Systems flickered. Lights dimmed. Athena's form wavered. "My core has been damaged," she said, voice weaker than before. Jack dropped to one knee. "Athena, I am still here," she whispered, "but I must go offline to repair." "No," Jack shouted, "don't leave us." Her image faded, and just like that, the Leviathan was blind. Silence filled the command room. The lights were dim. Screens flickered. Athena was gone. The Leviathan still floated in space, but it no longer saw. It no longer fought on its own. Jack Monroe stood up slowly. His ears rang from the blast. Smoke curled through the air. People moved quietly, checking the wounded, trying to make sense of what had just happened. "She's really offline," Linda Cruz said, voice low. Dan Harper looked at the broken panels. Without her, this whole ship could shut down. Jack took a deep breath. "Then we do what we have to." He turned to the others. "We keep going. We protect this ship. We protect Earth." Outside, the battle still raged. Imperial ships fired again and again, trying to break through the Leviathan's weakened shields. Inside, small teams of humans worked fast. They patched wires, reconnected systems, tried to keep the ancient warship alive. In one part of the ship, Tommy Riggs and a few others flew stolen Imperial drones into enemy attack pods. They crashed into each other like fireballs in the dark. Tommy barely escaped. "That's 3 more down," he said over comms. "But I don't think we can hold forever." Back on Earth, word spread that the Leviathan was hurt. People watched the sky, seeing flashes of laser fire, hearing distant thunder. They didn't wait for orders. Farmers pulled old guns from hidden basements. Engineers fixed broken machines. Pilots climbed into planes that hadn't flown in years. In one city, a young woman named Amy Walker stood on top of a building. She held a radio in one hand. "This is Walker," she said. "If anyone out there is still listening, we need to help them." And across the world, people answered. Hackers broke into Imperial networks. They found weak points in enemy ships, sent messages to rebel groups on other worlds. Doctors rushed to underground hospitals. Mechanics built new weapons from scrap metal. Empire thought they were fighting a single ship. They didn't realize they were fighting an entire planet. On board the Leviathan, Jack walked through the halls. He saw people working together, not because they were ordered to, but because they believed, because they remembered who they were. He reached the main control room. Sparks flew from broken wires. Systems struggled to stay online. He placed his hands on the controls. "We're not letting go," he whispered. Far away, in the cold silence of space, something changed. The tide was turning, and humanity was no longer just defending. They were fighting back. Asterisk, 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 deep inside the Leviathan. Jack Monroe worked fast. Wires hung loose. Screens flickered. The ship was barely holding on. But he wasn't giving up. "We need to get Athena back online," he said, wiping sweat from his brow. Linda Cruz sat beside him, checking data on a broken screen. "The cores. Still damaged. We can't just flip a switch." Jack looked at Dan Harper. "You were on their side once. What would they do now?" Harper thought for a moment. "They'd try to finish the job. Hit us hard before we can recover." Outside, Imperial ships kept firing. Lasers cut through space. Explosions shook the Leviathan. Shields were failing. Systems were going down one by one. On Earth, people watched the battle unfold. They saw the flashes in the sky, heard the thunder roll across the land, and they knew the Leviathan was in trouble, but so were the invaders, rebel groups across. The planet had launched attacks of their own. Hackers had stolen enemy codes. Pilots had taken out supply lines. And more humans were rising every minute. In orbit, Admiral Wexley stood on his command ship. He watched the damage reports come in. His face was tight with anger. "This should have been over," he muttered. Commander Ellis stepped forward. "Sir, our forces on the Leviathan haven't reported in, and we're losing ships faster than expected." Wexley clenched his fists. "Send everything we have. Finish this." Back on board the Leviathan, Jack saw the enemy closing in. "We don't have time," he said. "We need to fight now." Linda pointed at a glowing panel. "There's a backup system. It might be enough to bring Athena back if we can reach it." Jack didn't hesitate. "Let's go." With a small team, they ran through dark halls. Sparks flew from broken wires. Smoke filled the air. They reached the core room and found the backup controls. Jack pressed the button. For a long second, nothing happened. Then light filled the room. Athena's hologram appeared. Her form was weak, but she was back. "Thank you," she said. "I am returning to full function." Jack smiled. "Welcome back." Moments later, the Leviathan roared to life. Weapons powered up. Drones launched. Shields reformed. Enemy flagship detected, Athena said. "Should we engage?" Jack looked at the others. They all nodded. "Double quotes, yes," he said. "And this." The Leviathan turned toward the largest Imperial ship. Railguns fired. Energy beams lit up the dark, and the Empire finally understood. They weren't fighting a lost cause. They were fighting a world that had remembered its strength. And Earth was no longer afraid. Leviathan moved like a storm through space. Railguns fired in bright flashes. Energy beams cut through enemy ships. The Imperial fleet tried to hold its line, but the tide had turned. Admiral Wexley watched from his command ship as one of his cruisers exploded into fire and dust. "This can't be happening," he said. Voice low. Commander Ellis stood beside him. "Sir, we're losing too many ships. We need to pull back." Wexley's hands clenched the armrest. He had come expecting an easy victory. Instead, he was watching his fleet fall apart. Below, on Earth, people gathered outside. They looked up at the sky, seeing flashes of battle far above. Some cheered. Others prayed. All of them knew something had changed. In the Leviathan, Jack Monroe sat in the command chair once more. Sweat ran down his face. Beside him, Athena glowed softly. "Enemy flagship targeted," she said. Jack nodded. "Finish this." The Leviathan fired everything it had. A massive railgun round smashed through space. It hit the Imperial command ship right in the center. Explosions tore through its hull. Lights went out. Then it broke apart. Silence followed. Then a message came over the comms. "This is Commander Ellis. We are withdrawing. Repeat, we are withdrawing." Imperial ships turned and fled. Some limped away. Others vanished into faster-than-light travel. The battle was over. Inside the Leviathan, people hugged each other. laughed, cried. They had done the impossible. Linda Cruz looked at Jack. We won. He shook his head. Not just a win. We made a statement. Athena spoke again. Message. Being sent across all frequencies. Earth is awake. Leave us alone or face judgment. Far away, other star systems heard the message. Some rebel groups smiled. Others whispered in fear. On Earth, old machines powered up. Bases long forgotten began to hum. Pilots climbed into cockpits. Engineers built new weapons. Tommy Riggs looked at the sky. This isn't the end, is it? Jack stood near a window, watching the stars. No, it's the beginning. The Empire had been shocked, but they would return. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow. But humanity was ready now. They were no longer hiding. They were no longer forgotten. We're back. And the stars would never see them the same way again.